Welcome back to Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper. In the last episode, we were looking for Joseph Levi, or Levy, and this is supposedly where he lived, but we were told that it's not where he lives. It's the sister or the brother or somebody that lives here. But the guy that actually lives here is Jacob Levy, and he looks like the description of Jack the Ripper, according to Holmes. But Holmes wants to go back to Baker Street.
Well, Watson, not looking so good.
Whose fault is that, Holmes? If you hadn't shown me your masterpiece in clay.
Some actions have much larger repercussions than would be assumed at first glance. Listen, Watson, in a few minutes I will leave Baker Street in order to meet Jack the Ripper and put an end to his crimes. Beforehand, I want to go over all our discoveries to assure myself that everything is clear.
Jack the Ripper? You know the identity of Jack the Ripper?
Without a shadow of a doubt, Watson, and I assure you that we are in possession of all the elements required to determine who Jack the Ripper is. Would you like to do this work with me? Well, we are still missing certain information in order to finish this investigation, Watson.
Oh, boy. Well, it looks like we've got a lot of stuff, but we've got to add some things. Okay, so first of all, this is our board, deduction board, and it looks like this is page 1 of 5. So I'm assuming there's one for each murder, maybe? Wasn't there 5, or am I mistaken? But anyway, we just need to put these things where they need to go. Okay, that one there. And this one here doesn't, there it goes. Okay. Couldn't get it to go there for a minute. Okay, so this didn't really open up the Whitechapel Killer and the time to kill Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. Now we're missing some stuff here, so let's see if we can fill this in. So P. Nichols had her bonnet in her hand and was ready to exercise. And exercise is the word for doing the dirty. Chapman was holding an envelope in her hand. Okay, so Jack the Ripper offered a gift to each of his victims. Jack the Ripper diverted the attention of his victims by killing them, or before killing them. The victims knew each other and had things in common. I would think that he distracted them because the things that they had in their hands belonged to them already. Okay, the Whitechapel Killer proceeded in the same way. The Whitechapel Killer must have been accompanied. The Whitechapel Killer extorted his victims. There's no proof of that because the stuff that the victims had were still with them. He didn't extort them out of anything. Or if he did, we're not aware of it. I would say the first one. Okay. And then that opened up a couple more over here. It is not the same man who killed P. Nichols and A. Chapman. It is the same man. The Whitechapel Killer had an accomplice. We don't know that. But I think it's the same man, isn't it? Yes. Okay, now this one is taking things from up here and down here. So we've got Whitechapel Killer proceeded in the same way. Chapman's murderer is unfeeling and organized. We already do all this here. Whitechapel Killer had the time to kill L. Stride and C. Eddowes. And M.J. Kelly and her throat slit the same way as the other victims. It's the same man who killed L. Stride and Catherine Eddowes. Jack the Ripper has an accomplice. No, it's not the same man. I'm thinking it's the same man. And it is. Now we got what up here? L. Stride's killer is a strong man. It's the same man who killed P. Nichols. It's the same man who killed Stride and Eddowes. So Chapman, Stride, Eddowes, and Nichols are Jack the Ripper. Nichols' killer is a strong man. Jack the Ripper possesses great physical force. He's a corpulent man. He's a tall man. We don't think either of this because supposedly we think it's 5'3", and he's not fat. He's a slender man. And in this, Jack the Ripper had an accomplice? No, we don't believe he did. Jack the Ripper could not have committed these 5 murders. Jack the Ripper definitely killed P. Nichols, A. Chapman, Stride, Eddowes, and Kelly. I'm choosing that one. All right, let's go to the next page. All right, so it looks like we've got something missing here. The same butcher's knife was used in the crime against Nichols, Chapman, Stride, and Eddowes, and Kelly. So let's take that, pop it in there. Kelly's murderer has a knowledge of anatomy. I think they all did, but we'll put that here. That opens up this. Murderer cut open Polly's throat. We just went through this one. It's the same butcher knife. C. Eddowes' murder knew anatomy. We kind of already figured that. M.J. Keller's murder has a knowledge of anatomy. And the murder opened C. Eddowes' abdomen like and that of an animal, which means he could have been a butcher and not a doctor. The Whitechapel killer is a scientist. The Whitechapel killer possesses a large knife collection. The Whitechapel killer is or was a butcher. That's what I'm thinking. Okay? Now we've got a lot of stuff here. There's no organ trafficking in London. We kind of proved that. Many of M.J. Kelly's organs were detached. That's true. M.J. Kelly's lungs were subject to incisions. M.J. Kelly's heart was removed the same way as the other murders. That's opening up 2 things here. The killer hesitated on the organs to remove. The killer wanted to verify the health of his victims. The killer kept going in at his victims. Now, this second one is interesting because was it Jacob or no? Was it Abraham that told us that? No, it wasn't. It was the Beep Beep guy that sells the cat food said that Jewish people would always inspect the meat and particularly the lungs. And they did that to verify the health of the animal. So I'm going with that one. The victims each had a deformity. Jack the Ripper removed the victim's organs when he could. Jack the Ripper lost the organs of some of his victims when he examined them. I think he did as he could because he had a couple times where he didn't have the time. I'm going to check this one and see what happens. And that was right. Okay. Annie Chapman's rings were worthless. The wounds of C. Eddowes' neck revealed that the murder is right-handed. Okay, we're missing something here. So let's add it. Well, yeah, let's add this. Okay, the murderer searched A. Chapman. The murderer searched C. Eddowes. The murderer was looking for money or objects of value. The murderer was looking for something that the victim stole from him. The murderer was setting up a ritual around the bodies. Really? Do we know that? I don't think he was looking for money or objects. Maybe it's the ritual? No. I was wrong on that one. Looking for something the victim stole from him? I don't know. Let's say he was looking for money or objects. Really? Really? Okay. Well, maybe so, because if the rings were worthless, he didn't take them. Whitechapel killer is poor. See, Edo's murderer is a fetishist. The Whitechapel's killer collects trophies. Well, I don't know, though. Let's just say he's poor. The wounds on C. Edo's neck reveal the murderer is right-handed. Edo's murderer is right-handed. Jack the Ripper is right-handed. All right, moving on. Okay, syphilis deformed the patient's face. Which one? The Whitechapel killer left a message accusing the Jews in Goulston Street. M.J. Kelly was disfigured. See, Edo's piece of apron was found in Goulston Street near the message accusing the Jews. Yeah, but what does that mean? So, the white apron and the message. Jack the Ripper wants to accuse someone who lives in Goulston Street. Jack the Ripper has a score to settle with the Jewish community. Jack the Ripper wants to put the police on the wrong track. Well, if he's Jewish, he wouldn't be putting him on the wrong track with that. Let's try this one. Jack the Ripper has a score to settle. Okay, syphilis deforms the patient's face, and M.J. Kelly was disfigured. She's the one, if I'm not mistaken, that had the cuts of her to make her look like she had syphilis. That, you know, the eyelids were cut and the cheeks were cut. Jack the Ripper wanted to give the last victims the appearance of syphilis. Jack the Ripper wanted to rip the faces off his last victim. Jack the Ripper wanted to disfigure his victims in order to cause a sensation. I'm thinking the first one. Okay, and that opened up a new one. Jack the Ripper wants us to compare him to a terminal illness. Jack the Ripper seems like he suffers from syphilis. Jack the Ripper was confronted with syphilis. Let's choose this one and see what happens.
Perfect, Watson.
Confronted.
Let's determine who Jack the Ripper is, Watson.
Okay, how we can do that? Where's our board that did that? Here.
Thus, we have 5 suspects. Let's add the elements that correspond to each of them.
Okay, so we have Tumblety, Dr. The cat food guy, Walter Sickert, Jacob Levy, and Abraham Solomonovich. Jack the Ripper is right-handed. Jack the Ripper is right-handed, 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 right-handed. Okay. What do we do here? Let's see. Jack the Ripper was confronted with syphilis. He's poor. Could be a butcher. Okay, so it looks like, to me, the right-handed thing has been given to us. The rest of them, we need to put under the ones we think. So I'm thinking that confronted with syphilis, we know that Hardeman lost his wife and child. Uh-oh. That's not right. I wanted to put it here. Okay. And then Jacob Levy was also confronted with syphilis because the one child. Okay. Tumblety, I don't think so. I don't know much about this guy here. Is that the guy in the brothels? He may have been confronted, but it didn't seem to bother him. And I'm not sure about Solomonovich. We could try him. No. No. And it's just the two. Okay, so the next one is the Chapel Killer is poor. Okay, again, we know that he's probably poor, and he's probably poor. Oh, wait, what happened? Put that back. Okay. I guess I could keep trying, but I don't think these are. I didn't think he was poor, but I guess he is. All right, what do we got next? The Whitechapel Killer is or was a butcher. Okay, we know that he was or is. And we know that Hardiman does butchery because he makes cat food. Am I taking some away? I'm taking some away. Poor butcher. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Yeah, that's right. Okay. I was getting confused. It's pulling stuff off when I don't want it to. Okay, so these two were butchers. What about Jacob? Jacob said he used to be a butcher, if you remember, and then decided that he didn't like it. So, but he was a butcher at some point. Okay, what's next? Jack the Ripper has a score to settle with the Jewish community. I think so, but that would leave only these two because the rest of them are not Jewish. Okay. And then Jack the Ripper possesses great physical force. Okay, Tumblety, I think, does. And Jacob probably does have strength. I think he's pretty damn weak because he's sick. And he was a dandy. I don't think he's strong, and he's an old man. So I think that's those two there. But we could try it. Yeah. Okay. The murderer has workman's clothes. Well, don't they all? Or do they not? We know he does. And then we know he does. Now, he has like the Jewish outfit everybody has. He dresses like a dandy, and he's a doctor. Okay. Jack the Ripper lives in the ward of Aldgate. All right, that's got James Hardiman. No? I thought he lived in Aldgate. No? Only him? I guess only him. Better start tiling these or I'm going to run out of space. All right, what do we got left? Okay, so okay, the murderer is 5 feet 3 inches tall. Okay, so she said he was, and he's the only one, I think. Jack the Ripper is right-handed. We already have that. They gave us that. We're starting over now. So is that everything? Oh, I missed one right here. The murderer has a light-colored hair and mustache, and we know he does. So let's put that there. And I think he's the only one. So what does that tell us? All right, well, I need to check something here because I'm missing something. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 plaques on this. How many do we have? The murderer has workman's clothes. Okay, that's there. Jack the Ripper lives in the ward of Aldgate. That's there. The murderer is 5 feet 3 inches tall. That's there. The murderer has light-colored hair and a mustache. That's there. Jack the Ripper is right-handed. That's the first one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. The next one is 6. Jack the Ripper was confronted with syphilis. And that is right there. 7. Whitechapel Killer is poor. I don't see that one. Right-hander confronted, butcher, settle a score, great physical, workman's clothes. That's not there. Okay, let's try that. There we go. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so the poor. Are we still missing something? All right, I'm missing this one. Somehow, when I was putting them on, it was taking things off. He's missing one because there was one where he'd been right-handed, was a butcher, is poor, wore workman's clothes, but there's something else missing on him. That he used to be a butcher, he's poor, confronted with syphilis is not there. That one. There we go. So his was missing. All right, so we need to take the picture of him and pop it there.
And there you go, Watson. Jacob Levy, Jack the Ripper.
Fantastic, Holmes. And terrifying. But some aspects of this case are still unclear, at least for me.
For example, Watson?
Why does the man only kill prostitutes?
The man kills prostitutes because he blames them for the misery of his life. He must have frequented them assiduously, and, during these nocturnal visits, he contracted syphilis, which he passed on to his spouse, and via her, at least one of his children. He is an angry man in despair following a mistake that cannot be fixed.
Why does he only kill such miserable prostitutes?
He never had the means to afford prostitutes of higher standing than Nichols, Chapman, and the others. At one point in his life he was forced to steal to make ends meet. This indiscretion cost him dearly. He was imprisoned and exiled from his community. He had frequented low-class prostitutes. Thus, it was they who infected him, and they who must pay.
But why did he remove the organs?
To take vengeance on his own community, which rejected him and had more success than he. He is a man who bore the burden of a sinister reputation, that of a thief and a madman, because of his internment. So he took his vengeance in the most cowardly and horrific manner imaginable. He rubbed his knife on the uterus of a sick prostitute before using it. He passed Edow's kidney off as a veal kidney.
Why did he disfigure the faces of the last two victims?
Revenge yet again, Watson. This is what you did to my child. You will suffer the same fate.
And the piece of apron and the message at Goulston Street?
The only reason to have placed the piece of apron incriminating the message and attracting attention towards himself is that the people that Levy holds responsible for his arrest live in this building. The butcher's where he committed the theft is found in Goulston Street, and the majority of the butchers who denounced him surely live close to their workplaces.
But finally, Holmes, why didn't his wife or anyone else notice anything?
His wife has many children and must be very busy. The man is a butcher, which must facilitate things when one is questioned by the police in the street and must justify the bloodstains on oneself. Furthermore, butchers often work during the night, as the meat must be sold fresh each morning. His nocturnal absences were easily justifiable. Finally, he works in the butchers or slaughterhouses. Nothing could be more simple than slipping a kidney in here and using a knife soiled with human blood there.
This story is frightful, Holmes.
Indeed, Watson. Lies, infidelity, venereal disease, murder, mutilation, and finally cannibalism. A complete anthology of what humans at their most vile are capable.
Let's go at once to Whitechapel and put this madman where he can do no more harm, Holmes.
Let's, Watson.
All right, let's go talk to the crowd.
I do believe we are not alone. I hope these men won't prevent us from passing.
Me? No. But you, yes, Watson. Your journey ends here tonight.
Pardon?
You're sometimes a little hot-headed, and moreover, Mr. Solomonovich has a few things to tell you. I won't be long.
What's Holmes going to do?
You can come in, Mr. Holmes. He's waiting for you inside. Everything was organized according to your instructions. I don't know how to thank you.
Later. Dr. Watson is awaiting an explanation from you.
Sinister music. Oh, is he showing us how he did it? This is the second one. I think he's showing the last three. Oh, he's writing the message on the wall. So he doesn't tell the police?
Hello, Watson.
Holmes, have you the slightest idea what you are doing?
I think so, Watson.
Leaving this bloodthirsty pervert at liberty and hiding his existence from the London police? What folly!
Certainly, the police will never find their man, but with so many men deployed, this affair will indirectly have a benevolent effect on the crime in the vicinity.
But Holmes, wait! Justice hasn't been served, and we are accomplices to the fact.
Justice? But I don't serve justice, Watson. I serve truth. And, incidentally, I serve my country, and I don't think that I have ever served it better than today. Imagine if after months of terror and a murder as abominable as that of Miller's Court, we deliver to the English people a man of the Jewish faith, a journeyman and head of family as the guilty party. A man who forced members of his own people to eat human flesh. All of this contained tension would have exploded in a myriad of anti-Semitic acts which would have thrown Whitechapel into a rage of fire and blood. And this man's family, who are completely innocent and have suffered more than their lot, would have been the first in the line of sight. Should we condemn an entire people to shame and promise them 1,000 wounds because one of their members committed an unmentionable crime? Neither I nor you have the right to do so. Jacob Levy, Jack the Ripper, is now in the hands of his own people. I have complete faith in Mr. Solomovich and the members of his community who, I remind you, courageously helped us. They took great risks and acted with the most salutary discretion. And, oh yes, it is understood that you cannot chronicle this investigation. It would be best to invent a story that takes us far from London during the sombre period, in pursuit of, let's see, something challenging. A ghostly dog that glows in the night.
Don't be ridiculous, Holmes. But what will happen now? The police will endure a serious setback and a real loss of credibility. And this man?
Well, a few months after the murders have ceased, the police commission, finding themselves at an impasse, will come up with a story to tell, and everyone will vow that they know the secret identity of the killer without having the right to reveal it. As for Jacob Levy, Jack the Ripper, he will be imprisoned by his own people. He will pace like a lion in its cage until the end of his days, haunted by his crimes and his insatiable vengeance, until finally the disease which drove him to kill those poor women will finish its work and make him its final victim.
This concludes Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in the next one. I do have at least a half a dozen other games of Sherlock Holmes, and I'm thinking about playing them. I've never played them before, so I hope you join me then. Ta-ta for now.